Once you have a curriculum like an onboarding program or a leadership program, you need to create all or source all of the content, the courses that go into that program. Often that involves a team of designers, so a whole bunch of people working together at the same time. And if you have more people, you can do it probably in less time. If you have fewer people, then the design will span several months, and because it takes more time for those fewer people to get the work done. And the risk is, I mean, it's the reality, but the risk is that over time and across designers, things can shift. So memory can fade, perspectives can change, and differing opinions may challenge what the original intent is of the program. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't collaborate, and I'm not saying that we should be avoiding different opinions. What I'm saying is that we need to identify the intention of the program at the beginning, so that as those new ideas and those new ways of designing surface, they can be assessed objectively against that original intent of the program. And one of the ways of doing that is to create some design guidelines. And this is something that I do with all of my curriculum design projects. So with all of my learning roadmaps or learning journeys or whatever you call them. So some examples might be flexibility as one. And right now, flexibility is probably most in the forefront of people's minds because it could reflect being flexible to accommodate people who are working remotely or from home or people who are working in the office. But flexibility can also mean being attuned to people who have different shifts, if you have shift workers in your organization, or even just flexible to accommodate different learning needs. So people have physical or visual impairments or things like that that you need to accommodate and be flexible with. Another design guideline that I often look at is integrated. And if we create a learning program, an onboarding program or something, we want it to work with what's already established in the organization. We want them to work together as opposed to being this standalone that doesn't work with the systems and that type of thing. And as if you remember, I went back to after you've designed it, you have to build out all those courses. Integrated is one of the ways to help with that. So integrated also means looking at what are the pieces that you have in place already and how can you integrate those into that new program. Maybe you have courses already as is that you can roll into it. Maybe you have some resources that need to be tweaked a little bit, and maybe then there's lots new that need to be developed. But making sure that the program integrates with the organization and the needs is important. Another design guideline I look at is layered. And with that, the idea is to start off with basic concepts and then move into more advanced. And so that can happen within a certain topic, or maybe you have a leadership 101 program curriculum, and then you'd have a leadership, 201 or something like that, probably better names, but having that layered learning to kind of meet employees where they're at. And then another one, the last one I'll share, is being outcome focused. So my bias is that it's great to learn, but to pull people out of their jobs for learning alone isn't sufficient. We need to make sure that that learning will translate into a different skill set or new behaviors that they can implement or better performance. And so by having your program be outcome-based, which is the last design guideline, means that we're really looking at defining what's the performance changer, what's the performance outcome that we're looking for. If it's an onboarding program, often what we're looking for is that employees finish feeling more competent and more confident in doing their new job. So once you're in the thick of designing, you're going to need to have a consistent process. And when you're building all those peoples with the team of designers or over that period of time, you're going to want ways to collaborate. You're going to need templates to maintain that consistency and to have things run smoothly. The design guidelines are a little bit different, and those happen at the macro stage. And it might be helpful to think of them as guardrails on a highway. So they keep you from going off the road, especially when you're moving really quickly. So again, when new opinions or surfaces come up, maybe it's 8 months after the original design, and it's like, well, why are we doing it this way? Why don't we do this or whatever? Then you can go back to those design guidelines and say, oh, right, this idea, yeah, it does work with and supports flexibility, so let's move forward with it. Or this idea contradicts our design guideline around being outcome-based, so let's maybe pause it and not incorporate it. So I hope that helps. I hope the guardrails will keep you going in a straight path and make that building out process of your curriculum a lot easier.